You think you've lost your discipline, but what's actually happening is far more honest and powerful. There's a moment where many successful women experience, and they reach a place where the disciplined girl era stops working. The routines that you once relied on, the structures that held everything steady, they start slipping. And you start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? But nothing is wrong. This isn't a motivation issue. This is a fit issue. You're not that girl anymore. Here's the new truth. When you outgrow the part of you that ran on structured discipline, on grit, you don't lose discipline. You just can't recognize it anymore. You begin reorganizing around a deeper intelligence that belongs to the woman you are becoming. I see this all the time with the women I coach. They think they're falling apart, but really, they are outgrowing a part of themselves. They used to thrive and survive by staying in line with everyone else's expectations. So today I'll walk you through some truths that are rarely spoken, but are very powerful about how to stay consistent when this disciplined girl era stops working and why your steadiness returns in a completely different way. If something in you already knows this is true, go ahead and like the video so it reaches women like you who need to hear this message. Let me start with something I hear almost every week. A woman sits across from me, VP, director, founder, but truly women of all walks of life. And she says, I don't know what's wrong with me. I used to be so disciplined. I used to have everything together. And now it's not working. She's not failing. What she's experiencing is what many successful women have a hard time naming. It wasn't you running the discipline all along. It was that girl you built to survive. The good student, the reliable one, the one that mastered all the rules, the one that stayed in line with everyone else's expectations. Discipline was how that girl kept you safe and in line. And then suddenly, without any warning, your body starts rejecting those rules. It feels like friction, heaviness, tightness. You know, like those pants you used to love, and then you realize you can't breathe in them anymore. So you just don't make yourself wear them again. A woman I coach said, I used to push myself and it worked. But now, the moment I try to push, like my whole system says no, and it's not a mental no or a body no, it's like a whole being no. And you might recognize this moment because what many women try to do in this moment is to grit it out, push harder, and force themselves into that old structure that used to work. But grit has a limit. You can't out grit a part of you that is dissolving. So my client felt she wasn't hitting the mark. She judged herself so harshly. She thought she was lazy, distracted, like she wasn't with it anymore. But what was really happening was this: the girl that survived on those old disciplined structures is crumbling. It can't lead you to the next chapter of your life. This isn't collapse. This is the beginning of a new truth emerging. When you stop interpreting the loss of discipline as a failure and you start seeing it as a signal, your deeper intelligence finally has room to speak. You go do something you've always done. You have a routine to follow. You wake up early, you stay ahead of the game, but your body just won't. And if you're completely honest with yourself, you just don't care the same way you did. And yes, sometimes exhaustion and overwhelm can make you not care, and that's real. And sometimes the most honest thing you can do is rest, and especially if you've been leaking your energy everywhere. And if that is something that you are experiencing right now, I recommend that you listen to the video I made on quiet power. It will explain a lot of this dynamic. I'll leave a link in the description. But this moment is different. This isn't burnout. This is fit. This is the unmistakable experience of realizing you just don't care the way you did because something essential in you refuses to move in the way it used to. Another woman I coach said, I don't know what's going on. This used to be so easy. I used to have my ducks in a row. And now it just, there's something in me that won't let me. She wasn't describing tiredness. She was describing the moment where that old discipline, structured discipline that she used to manage is just not possible anymore. Your intuition interrupts the routine. Your body interrupts the momentum, and your energy interrupts any kind of performance, micro moments beginning to redirect you. You sit down to do something you should, and your body just checks out. You start to say yes, and something in your gut just pulls back. These aren't inefficiencies, these are invitations, signals steering you to something that is more true and away from something that is no longer yours to do. When you honor them even slightly, your energy will return. When you ignore them, you collapse again into those old structures and your energy drains faster every time, and it's not sustainable. This is the quiet beginning of a new form of staying consistent, that it has to do more about being attuned than force. Once you stop dragging the disciplined girl forward, something unexpected happens. Consistency, the thing that you thought you had lost, begins to return, but it comes back in a different way. It's not willpower anymore. It's not self correction, self management, is not getting back on track. It feels more like devotion, and not religious devotion, but the kind of devotion when you give your attention to what is true, alive, and uniquely yours. A woman once told me, when I choose from this new place in myself, I don't need to be disciplined in the way I used to. I just need to follow what feels honest. And it showed. Her boundaries sharpened, her presence deepened, her decisions became clearer. People began trusting her, following her, and not because she pushed, but because she aligned to what was most meaningful to her. But here's the truth that rarely gets spoken: passion is fickle, grit is finite, but meaning is infinite. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't burn out. That's why the discipline that you're looking for won't come out of effort or outside of yourself. It comes from aligning to what's uniquely meaningful to you. Think how discipline first shows up in our life. From an early age, we are taught to follow rules: school, home, early jobs, so we can fit into systems that were created long before we arrived. And for a long time, that kind of discipline works. It keeps you safe, it keeps you rewarded, it keeps you motivated. But there comes a moment when those external structures can't hold the true of who you are anymore. Think of Rosa Parks, for example. She didn't stay in her seat just because she wanted to be rebellious. She challenged the rules because she felt something deeper inside of herself that had greater meaning and felt more true. And that's why her leadership still ripples across generations, because alignment carries a power that discipline never could. I spent years in formal Zen practice, hours of sitting still through sheer discipline. But the kind of alignment I'm talking about here isn't something you force or manage. It's something that emerges when you stop overriding yourself. This is the kind of consistency that comes from listening instead of performing. There's a moment in every transformation, like the caterpillar when it dissolves into something unrecognizable, soft, formless, reorganizing before the new structures start emerging. You're in that moment now. You're not losing your discipline. You are becoming someone who doesn't need it in the old way. Because once you begin choosing from your values, your integrity, your deeper knowing. Consistency stops being effort. It becomes the natural rhythms of being a disciple of your own truth. Consistency will be evident again, not through force, but through alignment, through listening, through allowing your life to be shaped from the inside out. If this speaks to something you're living right now, stay close. In my next video, I'll share with you in minutes what it took me 25 years to understand about success. And that is that the game that we were taught to play is rarely the one that brings us alive. You're not losing your discipline. You're becoming someone who doesn't need the old structure to feel consistent. You're reorganizing around a deeper truth that discipline could ever give you. And that's the beginning of a new kind of success.